How slow is the global economy slowing right now?
We've gone from close to 4% the last couple of years to probably somewhere in the 3.5% range, or maybe a little bit less than that. But we've definitely seen a slowdown across a range of places. In some places, it seems that that slowdown may be easing somewhat. If you look at emerging markets outside of China, things have actually gotten a little bit better over the last 3 to 6 months. But China continues to slow, and as we just saw, the European numbers have definitely continued to weaken.
When it comes to Europe, I guess in the fourth quarter last year, there was a belief that the slowdown could be temporary for certain specific factors like German auto emissions standards coming in, or just country-specific rather than pan-European. Are we starting to see that it's a worse picture than that?
Well, I think the news has been worse than expected. So the things that look temporary probably still look temporary, but maybe more drawn out. The German auto cycle, for example. Numbers have gotten a little bit better, but at a slower pace, I think, than most people, ourselves included, would have expected. But I think there are some reasons why over the next, say, 6 months or so, things might pick up somewhat. Lower oil prices help Europe. Fiscal policy is a little easier. And we've also seen actually quite a welcome pickup in the wage numbers after a long period of stagnation. So, I think it's a mixed story. Near-term numbers definitely worse, but some reasons to expect some green shoots.
Do you think the ECB is going to be forced into action to fight a slowing economy?
Well, we do think...
Or that it's already doing?
So we do think that there will be another long-term refinancing operation. So I think, very targeted measures do seem likely. Broad monetary easing is not our expectation. We're not looking for a return of QE, and we still think that they're looking towards the exit, although it's a close call whether the first move away from the minus 40 basis point deposit rate comes in 2019, still be our baseline, or indeed moves into 2020.
But Jan, what does that say about the state of the Eurozone economy in general, that a decade on from the crisis, with such slow growth levels already, that more is needed? I mean, we're worried about, is a recession possible here in 1 or 2 or 3 years' time? Does that not suggest that it's definitely coming in Europe in 1 or 2 or 3 years' time?
I don't think it's definitely coming. I mean, that wouldn't be our expectation, but I agree with you that more is needed in terms of above-trend growth in order to bring down the unemployment rate and underemployment rate, which in Europe is still obviously significantly higher than in most other advanced economies, especially in the South. We have now moved below 8% on the unemployment rate. That was welcome, but we're still pretty close to 8%, and that's obviously a very different ballpark from what, for example, you're seeing in the United States.
So how much does the slower global growth, European growth, put into question the U.S. growth story for this year?
I mean, I think it's one of the factors that is weighing on U.S. growth as well. I don't think it's the most important factor. The U.S. is less open an economy, more inwardly focused than most others, just by virtue of its size. So I don't think it's something that would make me, dramatically change my baseline forecast. But I think it was a factor. The fact that the Chinese numbers and European numbers have been so weak, and uncertainties around Brexit, etc. I think that's been one factor why the Federal Reserve has made such a big shift.
Do you think the dollar, therefore, could get a little bit stronger now? That yes, the Fed's made a shift, but a bigger shift coming elsewhere? Well,
currency forecasting is obviously always hard. Our general take, though, is that the U.S. has slowed by more. Europe is, while they have slowed through 2018, there's a little bit more prospect of maybe slightly stronger numbers. So, at the margin, we would say dollar slightly weaker is probably a more natural expectation. But that does require, I think, some better numbers in Europe, and so far we just haven't seen those.
And still one hike this year, right?
That's correct. Yes, we have one hike in December.